The better Steam games tend to cost money, but whether they are worth opening up that Steam checkbook or being a frugal cell vulture is up to you and not some nitpicky reviewer. So here's my quick reviews of some games you should buy. Everybody knows the best way to play XCOM 2 is by naming your characters after your friends so you can pick favorites and kill them off for petty reasons. It may not be a real-time strategy game, but you will lose comrades along the way in this realistic depiction of alienated life.
Here, catch!
Since I no longer have any friends, I've named them after the Sons of Anarchy. I just hope Clay does not start to team kill, and I better not get too attached to Opie. Anyways, XCOM is turn-based like the NASCAR board game, but don't worry, it is not actually that boring. The tactical planning of each turn in this futuristic labyrinth can take you down the glorious path of victory, or the sketchy alleyway of failure. Then you go back to your base of operations, the Fallout Shelter. Here you get to look at your trading card collection of soldiers, play Google Earth the limited edition, and have other people do your research, like professors that steal their students' work to write half-ass academic papers.
Were you to direct additional support personnel and resources to me, I could substantially improve the speed of all our research.
Your organization is the Global Border Patrol, since these aliens are making illegal moves by attacking Africa and friends. You would think a military built to fight aliens would have a bigger budget, but that is a sad misconception since this war effort is brokered than an unemployed revolutionary that spent all their money on printing flyers at a for-profit university's library. Another analogy about college? Well, yeah, because this game is school. Like I said earlier, you're either gonna fail or succeed. There really is no in between. I played a lot of Rainbow Six Vegas 2 back in the day, but this game does not compare to the old community that was filled with military tacticians. My main problem with it is I just think about Wings of Redemption's morbidly obese ass if I try to play it, because Wings bans more people in his chat than BattleEye ever could. So look here, listen, and shout out to Sean Ranklin. Memes aside, you get an environment more destructible than growing up in a trap house in the middle of a battlefield.
Gargoyle weapons.
However, this is no Red Faction guerrilla, but man do I love breaking shit on Mars like if Rover Curiosity rebelled by smashing rocks. The hammer is the man Martian's greatest tool. Oh yeah, well back to the siege. At least you can still be patriotic and hunt down terrorists, because that was always my favorite mode for my uncompetitive gamer ass. They should make a league for us tri-softs, where they hand out participation awards for our unskillful gaming ability. Well, I barely said anything about this game, because even though it has more features, it's less entertaining than CSGO, and neither one of them can compare to the great times had in Banjo-Tooie's intense multiplayer. In the forest, you start off in the crash plane of being stranded on an island trope. I guess I should not be so cynical, because how else would you end up there? It's not like you would just be taking a nice relaxing swim in the ocean then suddenly wind up on an island. That would require the shoulders of Michael Phelps and his bong-ripping gills. The story is you are looking for your son that was kidnapped by the naked locals, like an average day in rural Kentucky. Instead of taking the blessing of newly found freedom, this father of the year has to save his boy so the demon child can be baptized to prevent a savage upbringing. Religious baths may be important, but survival is the first thing the smelly city slicker needs to worry about. You have a swap meet blanket for your inventory, and a lighter that every smoker dreams about since it never runs out, so surviving by yourself is quite easy. Then there is multiplayer, which is a little league game with a crowd of dads and a gay polyamorous marriage. These men are trying to find their son like they were distracted by an eclipse while their boy was kidnapped. The way they solved this problem is by building log cabins of friendship, and with bonding fires to heat up their romance to the height of its flames before they had a child to piss all over their burning hot relationship. In order to rekindle the passion they once had, they need to work together to burn all of these pale tribesmen. These cellar dwellers could use a little sun. No wonder they're child traffickers. I know I already made that pun, but it was right there for the taking, just like the kidnap plot device. For a survival game that started out in early access, it's not half bad. Plus it was actually released and not abandoned, making it more valuable than the life of Stephen Avery. And that's all you can really ask for. I love saying 10-4 good buddy, so I'm gonna fit right into the trucker life. Sadly, this game enforces two genders, which sucks because I can't be a they or a bearded man that identifies as a woman. I was hoping this game would give you the option to use stimulants to stay awake, but you can't even bang hookers and then murder them for a source of cheap energy. Yet there is all this cabin space for just that. There is no morale system, so you can only play as the good trucker just doing his job, unless you get road rage and decide to turn your truck into a battering ram, like a creatively violent way to put in your 2-second notice. This game gives Burnout a run for its insurance claims because the detail to damage is phenomenal. Also, the steering wheel moves on its own, so the truck driver either has telekinesis or it's a self-driving vehicle, which would put truckers out of business, so it's probably just mind powers. The simulation can be very relaxing if you get ASMR from the sounds of a highway. Overall, Truck Simulator is great enough to make you quit your day job. Have any of you ever played Clay Fighter? Well, this is nothing like it, but these fighters appear to be molded out of clay like a less detailed celebrity deathmatch. Gang Beasts is the perfect title for the frat house party of games, because lots of people are getting slammed while they are knocked out. Actually, your victims get up pretty quickly, so there'll be none of that forceful horseplay here, unless we were talking about throwing around limp, rubbery, soulless, solid color blobs, because there's plenty of that action. This beat 'em up consists of punching and falling, so it's basically boxing. Oh, and there's a little wrestling too, so it's MMA if the ring was a variety of hazardous workplaces. That includes the wrestling ring. All I got left to say is that this game is great for blowing off steam if you're a good Christian that is against gore and actual violence. Have you ever wanted to swing a sword at your enemies to impress the ladies? Well, using your keyboard and mouse to do so is probably the closest us modern beta males will ever get to getting in the cut. This game hates high pings like it has sensitive routers for ears, but this does not make sense to me because this is supposed to be a medieval experience where internet connection should not even matter. Anyways, decapitation and limb severing is cool, and so are the well choreographed slave backup dancers you have to defend. All of this may be a tremendous theatrical display, but the swordplay is the most important feature. I'm more of an offensive player, the type to rush into combat and die. When wielding a two-hander, I'm nearly unstoppable though. This just adds to the list of games that came out a few years ago that you should consider checking out, but probably already have. So recheck it out because I sure will, since I love making videos on old games. Sub rosa means happening or done in secret, which you would think this definition alone would be the reason for the game's title. However, upon further research, I discovered Sub rosa was inspired by a queer Canadian novel of the same name. So the real story behind this game is the briefcase contains your sexual identity, and your friends are merely there to help you get your groove back.
I need the briefcase so I can figure out my sexual identity, guys. I don't know if I'm pansexual or asexual, guys, and the briefcase holds the answers. That's the whole point of Sub rosa, right?
To make matters worse, they are all Canadians.
Let's find a place to hold up until this pass is over. Eh?
Since I never found any briefcases during this recording, I remain on an unsure straight path. Now, there are other game modes besides briefcase exchange, such as Party on a Roof, Silicon Valley Mafia, and another movie franchise. This game has came a long way from its original block days. Now characters have facial features to show their emotions, so you can now know who is hiding in the closet just by looking them in the eyes.
Well, when I look in your eyes, man, I can tell you're in the closet. You got them blue Jewish eyes. I mean, Nazi eyes. Look at this guy looking at me too, man. You look gay as well. You all look gay. You all have blue eyes.
Oh, wow.
I'm not like trying to be offensive, man, but you can just tell by looking in your eyes.
I almost forgot to mention that you must know the controls before attempting to pilot one of these clumsy monstrosities, because if you don't, then your life will be on alert. Then there are the cars that lack interiors, and even a steering wheel. But this is just another case of mind power, since the driver sits stiffly with their arms by their side as they maneuver through ghost car traffic. The game is in early access, and while it is fun and sort of unique, I don't think it's worth $20 at this stage in its development. Like a kid asking their parents for money to go to an indie movie film festival that's really just multiple test screenings taking entry fees. Get ready to break into the career of bank heist. In Payday 2, you have to fund your grandfather's bachelor party. He is retired and getting remarried for the 12th time. You really owe it to your grandpapa to make his shindig the best ever. The only way it's gonna happen is by stealing loads of cold hard cash. This cannot be a cheap get-together. You must hire a lead-belly hologram to perform alongside Marilyn Monroe's zombie while she provides an undead striptease. That's the backstory. While this entire game is the backstory for Left 4 Dead, since there are 4 characters that can see each other's outlines through walls. Plus, zombies and cops are interchangeable because they both work long hours, get shot at, and patrol for flesh to restrain. This game is alright, but Kane and Lynch was the best bank robbing multiplayer experience for Dark Knight reasons.
What bus driver?
What happened to the rest of the guys?
In a world of Halloween remakes, Michael Myers is finally tired of this shit and just wants to retire. So him and his buddies take an epic road trip across the country to Hollywood to stop whoever keeps greenlighting these recycled films. They will do whatever it takes to end their contractual obligated suffering, even if it means taking the big shots to court. Then they realize that the judicial system takes forever, so they decided to kill. Come along for the ride this summer, or never.